when we do interviews every once in a while, we get to talk to someone who has seen this game change from the POV is very much on the pitch.
Has seen the game change, but is also one of the reasons the game changed.
Exactly
okay?
where I was
changer.
going. Exactly. From MLS to World Cups to now on our show.
Yeah.
Probably not the top of this man's CV that he's doing this show. I think other things are on top, but we're absolutely honored. The coach of Vancouver Whitecaps II from MLS NEXT Pro, ladies and gentlemen, Ricardo Clark, everybody.
Rico. Can I call you Rico?
Can we call you Rico?
Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, cool. Because we over the years, as we've done this show, we've befriended a lot of people that we didn't even think we would ever meet, let alone.
Frankly, probably shouldn't. They should not have had to meet us.
But we're in New York, so people like Kyle Martino, Edson Buttle, just a lot of
Mike McGee. Yeah.
People
Aleko Eskandarian.
People who know who we are, and everybody's like, they'll be talking amongst themselves. Sometimes we'll be in circles where we shouldn't be. And they'll be like, oh, remember when Rico did this or whatever? And I'm like, bro, it's like everybody got a story about him.
Y'all were on the pitch. I saw that on TV.
So it is an honor to be able to chat with you and talk about everything going forward and your coaching career now. But that's kind of where we want to start with your playing career. And Alexis, kind of mentioned it at first about how the league, how the game has changed in the United States. But at least for me, my vision, when I was playing FIFA in the early aughts, you were the guy. On the USMNT, I was playing where I was happy to see Ricardo Clark and excited to either get some assists or score some goals with him. But like we said, people always seem to talk about you as either some kind of inspiration, either about your character, the way you play,
the intensity, the leadership.
It's something like, how do you think about your own legacy in the game amongst your peers and amongst fans with and now leading forward to your coaching career? But how do you look at the Ricardo Clark legacy to where it is now?
Yeah, man. I think if I had to sum it up in one word, man, I'd just say, most importantly, the grittiness, right? Growing up back in the day, we didn't have all these resources that a lot of the new school, if you want to call it, kids have. So, man, you just find ways to make it, man. You go to the park, you have one ball. Right, you're just practicing with one ball. You shoot it over the goal, and you're gonna go and chase it down the road or whatever it is to go back and play whatever it is. I think little things like that sort of just add up to how it is just to go try out whatever it is, state team back in the day, ODP, whatever it is, just to try to make it. And then on the field, man, just doing whatever it is, whatever it takes to compete. And win, right? And, that was just kind of my mentality as I was a young kid. Maybe it was related to growing up with an older brother and having to battle against him. But, man, just finding ways to just pull through and make it and deal with a lot of adversity to hopefully come out on top, right? So, that's how I'd sum it up.
Yeah. This is one of the most interesting things to me because Christian and I have been doing this podcast for 10 years, and I think the MLS landscape has changed so much in that time, but it changed rapidly before that also. Like the change came way before that to where you're now coaching young guys that are coming up from the academy in the step before they go full top tier pro, top flight pro, hopefully, right? That's what everybody wants. But they get discovered in a very different way than how maybe you got discovered. You ATL shorty, right? You from ATL. How did you get discovered? How did you make it to the scene where people could see Ricardo Clark and go, that guy's going to go pro one day? How did you get to that point?
Grew up playing. Obviously, my dad introduced me to the game. Was my coach when I was about 12 years old. And me and my brother were, one of the few guys playing soccer in our neighborhood, and eventually made club team, youth club team in Atlanta, Georgia. Then kind of worked my way up the ranks, right? Like I mentioned before, I went to ODP, state team, eventually, when I was about 14 years old, made regional team. Fortunate enough then to push on to make the national pool. I got my first youth national team experience when I was about 17 years old, U18 age group, and then kind of kept working myself up to the U20s. Got to play in the U20 Youth World Championship. Into the U23 pool, and then that's around the time I got my chance at MLS back in 2003.
Metro Stars.
And then yes, Metro Stars.
When I first started like really going to games, I would see you there when I was a kid, bro.
Yeah.
New York, New Jersey.
Yeah, man. It was and then just kept grinding. Traded to different teams. Eventually made it to Europe. Grinding through that. Obviously played in the World Cup. Houston was a big part of my playing career in the club I played for, and then just grinded through, man. Like I said, and worked my ass off, and thankfully got the opportunities through good coaching as well, right? And good players older than me who I learned from and were able to basically kind of carry on what they taught me and hopefully take it even farther.
It's a lot of teams, right? You brought up Metro Stars, obviously Eintracht Frankfurt. The image I have is that like hyper orange Houston jersey, though. That's what I
MLS
think
Cups. Yeah, and I remember early, like I used to go to MLS games casually, but I never watched the league on TV. But I think it was the 2007 MLS Cup final. I remember putting on ESPN, and I was like, I'm gonna watch the MLS Cup final, and it was happened to be the one.
Patting yourself on the back.
No, but it was like one of the first ones I was like, oh, this is what channel it's on. Because I think early on you didn't really know. Now we have like Apple, and we know exactly where to go and stuff like that. But you mentioned the things you learned in coaching. You've had a lot of incredible coaches. I also saw a clip where a podcast clip where you were talking about your time spent at the Crew, where you appreciated that time because there's connections and relationships that you built that are still paying off to this day, that are still very helpful and rewarding for you. But when it comes to coaching and whether it's you were at the World Cup 2010, was that Bradley or Rena?
No, that was Bradley.
That was Bradley,
right? So that is that was like one of the first times we got the chance to interview Bob Bradley when he was at LAFC, and we one of the proudest moments for us as comedians is that we genuinely made Bob Bradley laugh. He was like actually laughing along with in an interview. I don't think this is a thing that happens, because even we got messages from other people in media that were like, yo, I just saw this. I've never seen.
Right.
But I've interviewed Bob Bradley 50 times.
Didn't know he had teeth.
So we all know that he's like a sort of hard-nosed coach. Are there things from Bob Bradley or even other coaches that you have ingrained in yourself that you are now kind of that you see as a coach for yourself in the players that you are coaching?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. So, with Bob Bradley, when you talk about that grittiness, he kind of exudes that sort of personality and that aura, right? And I think it reflects in his teams and reflects in sort of the results we used to get, especially with the national team, right? And just grinding out games against especially better opponents, right? Because it was a different time there. I think we were sort of progressing as a nation and especially as a national team in the game of soccer, but then when you face teams like Spain, when you face teams like Brazil, it's all about the quality on the ball as well, but it's also about, having that mentality that you're going to do whatever you can to win the game, right? And whether you're conceding 70% possession to then just make sure you're defending your ass off, to then transition and counterattack and hopefully use that game plan to win. Right, then that's what we did. If we had to dominate games with other opponents because we knew we were better than them, then we did. But we just found ways to win. I think Bob Bradley has proved throughout his coaching career that he's been able to do that, right? And I think that mentality was instilled amongst the group. In addition to that, man, I would say, Greg Berhalter, big influence on me. He was actually one of the last coaches one of my last coaches while I was playing. So he influenced me a lot. Actually, inspired me to become a coach. So
that's great.
that was really cool to work with him. And man, Dominic Kinnear, I would say for him, really was a good manager, right? Knew how to put together a group, put together a locker room with a lot of chemistry to succeed in that way, right? And then I could go on and on, man, about some other coaches I've had in the past. Some in Germany, Christoph Daum, other guys who, just take bits and pieces from, and whether it's good or bad, just kind of absorb it and try to implement my own style based on what I've learned from those people.
Can I ask what Berhalter did to inspire you to become a coach? Because I feel like that's a big decision for a lot of players at the end, but it feels to me like most players know pretty early, I want to be a coach after this. I don't want to be a coach. From what you just said, it sounds like that decision was kind of made towards the end of your career. What did Berhalter do? What did you see in him that made you want to be a coach?
Yeah, first of all, I think that's a good question because, I always kind of knew I wanted to be a coach, to be fair, but I didn't know on what level. Did I want to be a coach on the level of, running soccer camps and have my own academy or whatnot, or did I want to be a coach on a professional level? Right? I think working with Greg inspired me to become a coach on a professional level. Right? Him and the rest of his staff. I think there was a couple other guys there who are now coaching professionally. Who I sort of learned just in the whole approach, in the detail, right, involved in what it needs to be consistent through a whole year, right, and successful, but also relate to players in a right way. That's what you're giving them information to make sure everybody's on board and everybody's sort of bought into the whole process related to a team going through a whole season and hopefully being successful, right? I think that's the biggest thing I learned is just that the detail and how much can be, I guess, given to players and learned in order to, again, go about coaching in the right way in a professional manner.
I love the way you describe that because I know there's definitely, I'm sure there's coaches or assistant coaches that were inspirational and be like, wow, that this person is inspiring me to take this next challenge in my career. But there also had to be some coaches who were like, yo, this bum could coach. If he could do it, I'm sure I could do it. There has to be a couple of those strewn about throughout your career.
Yeah.
All right, there's one. All right, you just thought of somebody. We're not going to make you name names.
I'm not that guy to throw people under the bus.
But people recently, Bielsa, right, came out and said that he thinks MLS makes players lazy, right? There's the conversation of like MLS being a different type of league than Europe or South America or whatnot, right? There's rules differences and whatnot. From your time, you got to play in both some of your earlier MLS days, right? And then you also got to play in Europe. Do you think there was a big mentality switch for you having played in Europe?
Yeah, 100%. Big mentality shift. Again, I don't think the league was at where it is at now when I left. Not that it was in a bad time. It was growing, but it still hadn't hit that level that it's at now, right? So me going to Europe, I think it was 2010, and just seeing, get the professionalism, the training environment, right? The atmosphere of games, right? Just sort of opened my eyes to, as a young player, opened my eyes to, what the level is at on a global level, right? In the world of soccer, especially I was playing in the top 5 league, right? So, it was, it was an experience, man. Again, one thing it really taught me was how to train. Right? You go to Germany, they're doing 2-a-days, 3 times a week. Maybe it's on the extreme level, but I really learned how to really prepare and what it takes to to make it to that next level in regards to my training.
You making these kids do two-a-days at Vancouver Whitecaps II?
Does the union allow that, bro?
Yeah, sometimes why not? You know.
See, but that's the thing, because we're not pros. And as a fan, I'm watching and I'm like, when we see like the comments from Bielsa of like, oh, MLS makes you lazy. To me, that's such a wild statement, because it's like, what is it that we can't replicate in the U.S. and Canada? It's like, you just gotta, pass the ball, shoot the ball, touches, like it's
I recommend a sign that says "Don't be lazy."
Yeah, we understand the fundamentals to the game. Is it really something that's difficult to replicate because of the environment, maybe the circumstances,
or maybe how long the teams have existed, the intensity,
the popularity of the sport? Is that really the crux of why other countries are so further ahead?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm kind of fast forwarding to now, specifically related to that comment. Like, I don't really think that's the case. Maybe 15 years ago, 10 years ago, but definitely not now. Definitely not now. I think, MLS is actually a league where players can grow. And again, I think the league's progressed so much. The pressure to win, the professionalism that's involved, the environment that's created in training, but also in games, I think leads to that sort of environment where, players aren't coming here to take a vacation, right? Players are coming here to win. The amount of the economics of the league also too add to that. The exposure on a global level of the league to the rest of the world, I think adds to that. And I don't really know if I believe that comment to be true at this point in MLS. No.
We came too far.
Yeah, it's come way too far, in my opinion.
All right.
What about you? You've been in at the level where you've had to sort of make a way for yourself to get pro. You've played in the World Cups. You've played in Europe. How do you transfer that to someone at MLS Next Pro, where it's like this sort of in between from academy to going full pro? How do you convince? How do you develop? How do you put your arm around these players and use some of your experience to have them really get to that next level?
Yeah, just try to. I think first and foremost is the mentality, right? It's the mentality that has to be instilled in them. You guys seen it or heard it before. You can have all the talent you want in the world. You can coach somebody so much and on the pitch with it, but if you don't have that drive, have that mentality, have that willingness to, do the little things on and off the pitch, then it's a wrap. That's the biggest thing I try to instill and convey to the players, right? And I try not to use my I guess quote unquote status, or what I've achieved in my career to like relate to them. I just mainly just try to, again, use my experience internally and then try to convince them and convey to them what they can do. But I never really use what I've done as an example for them. They can go on YouTube, they can go on Wikipedia and do all that.
I'd have the highlights playing behind me. I'd be like, you see who I am, though?
You see how I control that ball? Why can't you do that?
Remember when I was yelling at you? It's because you ain't doing this, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I might jump in sometimes if I'm still throwing,
So you still got it?
I still got it. Give that example, but
you're entering your third season as coach for the Vancouver Whitecaps FC2. The experience, I mean, of being a part of MLS Next, it is an interesting thing. We've had Ali Curtis was on the show before and talking about even the playoff structure and stuff. There is a clear interest in getting people excited about watching these upcoming group of players, and now that the games are so much more easily accessible. From a coach's perspective, how do you feel about it as well? Is it like, are you also like on the sidelines, obviously thinking about your team and trying to win games and stuff like that, but you also must be thinking about your own career and your future prospects as well, right? It's like, what level do you want to push for? Is it trying to become an MLS Next first team coach? Is it thinking for Europe national team? How far is the Ricardo Clark coaching vision? How far do you want to go?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, definitely. If you're asking that, at some point, I definitely want to, coach for a first team in MLS. Yeah, 100%. When that happens, I don't know, right? Right now, I really do enjoy the development space. And I've been in it for about 3 years now, after coaching as an assistant coach with the first team for about 2 years. And even before that, coaching in academy. So, yeah, I really do enjoy right now, working with players and getting them into that first team environment or pushing them along towards that, hopefully. So, but then, yeah, when that happens with the first team, I don't know, is it, coaching Next Pro another year to then hopefully do that? Is it going back into being an assistant coach to then hopefully maybe joining to a first team head coach? Or is it maybe next year I'm going to be a first team head coach, or maybe go back to with the national team? Who knows, man? I say in soccer, especially nowadays, it's you never know, man. It's football changes every day. But ultimate goal, I would say that in addition to, first team head coaching opportunities all over the world, whatever comes about, man. So whether it's Europe, wherever, man. But yeah, for sure, I wanna make that jump at some point in my career.
All right. So I know you got to run, but I do want to ask a question. You grew up in Atlanta. Who's the greatest musician or group to ever come out of Atlanta?
Ooh. All right.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
You gonna say Outkast?
That's Outkast. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are saying Future now.
That's a bold.
I'm not of that. I'm of that era.
You came
I'm of that era. Yeah.
That's for
You came up slamming Cadillac doors.
Yeah, you know what? Even before that, man, Kilo Ali, Goody Mob,
right? Classics.
Man, that's my era. So I'm biased towards that, man. So
okay, fair enough.
So actually, did you get a chance? You played at Atlanta United, right? You got a chance to play there?
I didn't play in Atlanta.
Oh no, not at the team, but I'm saying played against them.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. All right. So did you play at Mercedes-Benz?
I believe I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I'm just saying, as an Atlanta native, it must have been cool just to see the whole the fact that team there, and that must have been exciting. And we've been there a couple of times, and it's like unbelievable. It's one of the most unique experiences I think in world football.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. Like honestly, with Atlanta United coming in, I didn't expect that.
Same.
But to go back to, I think they were playing at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Georgia Tech, actually, before they went into Mercedes-Benz, and I played there, and it was 40,000, I don't know, something, and everybody's just standing the whole game. Yeah, it was incredible, man. It was beautiful to see something like that in your hometown, right, and seeing it flourishing so much. So, yeah, really cool experience.
That's awesome,
man. Well, Rico, this has been an absolute honor. The MLS Next Pro season starts up this weekend. We wish you the best. This is just, again, it's an honor for us to speak to someone like you. Like we said, like you are someone who
done it all.
Everyone that we know always speaks so highly of you. So this is just like a really dope thing for us to get the opportunity to do.
I feel the look on your face tells me they need to tell you these things. Someone needs to give you your flowers, dog.
No, man, this is what this is for, man. We got this platform is that there's just a lot of players that have not necessarily untold stories, because I don't think that's what you are.
They don't get their flowers enough.
But
for sure.
there is I think a lack of acknowledgement of the bricks that were laid to build what we have.
We're like
now.
the drink champs of MLS.
So we're trying our best, bro. But best of luck this season, Rico.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Respect.